All right, new details in that officer-involved shooting that killed the U.S. Airman Roger Fortson. For whatever reason, these details and these updates did not make it to this side of the country here in California. I'm just now seeing this, and so I wanted to share these updates as we did discuss the original video. If you have not seen that, I will link that video in the description. But according to these updates, we have some audio from the phone call that started the entire ordeal, and then the mother also speaks on the deputy that was ultimately fired. They released his identity. So she gives her thoughts on that. And then also, lastly, he was actually laid to rest, looks like a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Again, this never made the news out here in California, unfortunately. I watched the news pretty consistently and didn't see anything about it. But I am going to share these details with you all right now. So let's get into it. Y'all let me know what y'all think. It's Ricky Rich with Black Primacy. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications.
Deputy-involved shooting of a U.S. airman in his own Florida apartment. The county sheriff's office releasing official calls and records from the incident, but major questions remain about how this encounter turned deadly in just a matter of seconds. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
Tonight, we're hearing for the first time the concern call that led to the fatal confrontation between a Florida sheriff's deputy and U.S. senior airman Robert Fortson.
Sounds like he's fighting with someone else, and she's saying that it sounds like it's getting a little bit out of control.
The non-emergency call coming from an employee at the apartment complex where Fortson lived, who said a resident reported overhearing a rowdy domestic dispute. The employee giving them this apartment number.
The apartment number is going to be 1401.
It's the same unit seen in this body camera video, showing the moment deputies arrive at Fortson's door.
Sheriff's office, open the door!
Fortson opens up. You can see he's holding a gun, but it's pointed down. Within seconds, the deputy fires several rounds, striking Fortson in the chest and arm. The 23-year-old...
I hate that this is like the fourth report that I've heard where they say within seconds, within a few seconds. If you watch the video, I mean, and I get that they, they're just saying that to highlight how fast it was, but it was even faster than that. Okay, it was less than a second. Okay, 1 second. Okay, within a second. Okay, you want to say. I just thought I'd highlight that because it's pretty frustrating that if you're not familiar with the original video and you see this, you might think, you might kind of overlook the fact that there was no real time. I mean, there was no real time in between the door opening and him being shot down.
Later died at a hospital. Tonight, as the community remembers the decorated airman who served overseas, major questions remain unanswered. The sheriff's office has not identified the deputy involved, and the incident report they released is heavily redacted. Fortson's family, meanwhile, claims he was alone in the apartment at the time. His girlfriend saying they were on a FaceTime call discussing weekend plans the moment that authorities knocked on the door. The family now demanding justice.
Tell the truth about my son. I know my son did not do anything to you guys.
And tonight, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is investigating Whit. They'll turn over their findings to the state attorney's office. Whit.
Morgan Norwood, thank you.
And they did turn over their findings, and I think this was one of the follow-up videos here to that.
On Friday, Sheriff Eric Aiden fired the deputy who shot and killed Air Force Senior Airman Roger Fortson in early May. The deputy was identified as Eddie Duran. He served in the U.S. Army from 2003 to 14, and he has more than a decade of experience.
Y'all hear that? I mentioned it in the original video that I posted that, you know, this young man wants to go serve his country, and you know, I would assume probably had some sort of feeling of protection by serving his country. You know, he would have had some feeling that his brothers in arms would support, protect, and have his back. And the officer that ultimately was responsible for his death not only was his brother in arms from a peace officer perspective, but also from a military perspective. He had military background. And so it's sad to see, you know, you sign your life away to the government and to the military and to your country, and someone who's supposed to wholeheartedly have your back is the one that's responsible for it. Sad to see, sad to hear.
And he has more than a decade of experience in law enforcement. The Sheriff's Office Internal Affairs investigation determined Duran's use of deadly force was not, quote, objectively reasonable. And today we're hearing from Fortson's mother and attorney who reacted to the termination and why they say justice has not been served. Tanner Stewart spent the day combing through that report and explains what Fortson's family wants to see next.
Sue, this morning, attorney Ben Crump and Roger Fortson's mother, Mika, both who we've heard from before, addressed the media again, expressing their disbelief over how it's all unfolded, saying there appears to be an effort to tarnish Roger Fortson's reputation. This 29-page internal affairs report released Friday reveals a detailed account from many perspectives, including the leasing agent at the apartment complex who called police after a neighbor reported a disturbance to the leasing office. We've learned through the report that the resident who made the initial call was a fellow airman who says they didn't know Roger Fortson personally. The neighbor described to investigators hearing...
Damn. Everybody responsible for this was a fellow military serviceman or woman. Still, that just drives home the fact that I just can't believe that that like everybody in the person who made the initial phone call was a U.S. airman, so this and one of his colleagues, and the person who shot him down was a former military officer and current police officer.
Yelling through a vent in their apartment for roughly 30 minutes, saying they'd heard arguing coming from the apartment before that day, adding they were concerned for a child they believed may have been in the residence. Fortson's family attorney Ben Crump doubled down today on the fact that he believes police were at the wrong apartment.
He was in the apartment by himself with his dog, Chloe, video chatting with his girlfriend. There was no domestic dispute between a male and female. There were no children in his apartment. And so they had the wrong apartment. Period.
Fortson's mother, Mika, says the detailed report isn't enough to bring her closure.
Let's be clear. Don't let this gold teeth fool you guys. I'm not dumb. I want justice for my child. You're not going to throw me a bone.
The investigation details former Deputy Eddie Duran's mindset leading up to the shooting and what signs pointed him to believe he was in fear of his life. Duran was asked why he didn't wait for backup. The report states he believed the issue had escalated to a physical altercation. Duran was asked by Internal Affairs if he heard signs of a disturbance as he was walking toward Fortson's apartment. He replied no. After knocking the first time without announcing himself, the report states Duran says he heard something to the effect of referencing police. After Fortson answered the door, Duran described seeing aggression and anger on Fortson's face, telling investigators, quote, "That showed me there was obviously a little discontent for me knocking at the door," close quote. It further states Duran says Fortson was not complying with him between the few seconds that Fortson opens his apartment door and Duran opens fire.
Here they go again. This is what I'm saying. A few seconds. A few seconds is 3 seconds, all right, or more. They're really trying to slick dumb it down. Watch the original video. Okay, watch the full body cam footage. You'll see it was not a few seconds. Okay, it was 1 second or less. Just enough time for the brain to tell the arm to pull the gun up and shoot. And the way he looks, he's a little slow, so maybe a second, maybe a little over a second, but still.
And Duran opens fire. Fortson was not complying with him between the few seconds that Fortson opens his apartment door and Duran opens fire. Duran stated, based on everything that I had taken into account, I felt 100% that action was going to be my best course as opposed to reaction. The sheriff's office determined Duran's actions don't justify the use of deadly force, explaining the investigation doesn't show Fortson making hostile or attacking movements toward the deputy. Fortson's mother says the report is a slap on the wrist for the deputy involved.
That's not justice for me. It's so many lies in that report. It's so much left out in that report. Break up charges against him. He thought he wasn't going to make it home to his family. Guess what? This one did it.
Attorney Ben Crump says the shooting is simply not justified and fully anticipates criminal charges.
I absolutely believe there would be charges in this case. It would be an affront to justice, I believe, if there are not charges. I mean, you're in your own home. You're in your own home. If you can't be safe in the sanctity of your own home, where can you be safe at?
Roger Fortson's girlfriend on the FaceTime call disputes the claims that there was an argument taking place, also stating she never heard law enforcement or Roger acknowledging police. FDLE tells me this afternoon no information is being released as their investigation remains ongoing. In the studio, I'm Tanner Stewart.
We have a Metro Atlanta airman.
And then, yeah, there's definitely got to be more done, right? I think I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure, but I'm a little more confident that it's not over. They're still gonna do more. The more coverage this gets, the more the less they're going to be able to sweep it under the rug. So we'll see. But yeah, firing is just not going to be enough. But I think they know that. I think they know that. And then lastly, I wanted to share this video coverage of him actually being laid to rest. So let's check that out.
Roger Fortson is underway right now at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in DeKalb County. You're looking right now inside live. And Channel 2's Steve Gelbach is live outside. And Steve, hundreds are there to pay their respects today.
Fred, I spoke to a number of family members arriving. We've seen a large contingent from the U.S. Air Force, as well as just the public, friends, and retired military that felt the need to be here.
The flag-draped casket of Senior Airman Roger Fortson, 23 years old from DeKalb County, was moved into New Birth Missionary Baptist Church Friday morning, followed by family members.
Overwhelming, and we just want justice.
Fellow members of the Air Force, including a large number who served with him at an airfield in Florida's Panhandle, made the trip here to pay respects and for Fortson's family.
We appreciate the support and very thankful and grateful for the support. It's just been a rough situation.
Fortson, a McNair High grad who joined the Air Force in 2019, is remembered by an aunt as very humble and very sweet.
When you met him, you immediately fell in love with him. He didn't speak much, but when he did, you know, you understood what he was saying.
Sheriff's office, open the door!
The shooting, captured on body camera by a sheriff's deputy in Florida, is still being investigated. It shows him knock and nows himself twice before Fortson opens the door with a gun in his hand but at his side and pointed at the ground. The deputy steps back and within a couple seconds fires, then yells for Fortson to drop the gun after he's already on the ground. But the funeral and those gathered here are celebrating how Roger Fortson lived his life, not the way it ended, while still demanding justice.
And the eulogy will be delivered by the senior pastor here at New Birth, Jamal Bryant. And we also expect to hear from civil rights leader Reverend Al Sharpton. We do have a crew here inside. That service still going on. We'll bring you more of the sights and sounds ahead on Channel 2 Action News at 4, 5, and 6. We're live in DeKalb County. Steve Gelbach, Channel 2 Action News.
Steve, thank you very much. So many people interested in this story. News Shopper 2 is also up live over the church there, and we'll take you to the horse-drawn procession when that happens.
Yeah, this is getting a lot of coverage, so or has gotten a lot of coverage. So I'm pretty confident that that police officer is going to be brought up on charges. So I'll definitely be updating again once that happens, and hopefully I can get the information sooner rather than later. So if you happen to be in that area and it's all over your news coverage, keep me up to date. It's kind of hard to get this information in real time when it's not being shared on this side of the country. And if you are in the Atlanta area and it's not being covered, let me know too. I'd be curious to know what it's like over there. Is this big news or is it quiet news? Again, RIP to Roger Fortson. Sad story. All right, y'all let me know what y'all think. Again, tap in with me if you're from Atlanta. Either way, if it's being covered or not, I'm curious. Yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think. It's Ricky Rich with Black Primacy. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications.